Hi, this is Rob Sheen with the Source Conference, and I'm here with Matt Cheung, who's a QA engineer at Veracode. And he's going to be doing a workshop at Source Boston on May 9th and 10th on intro to cryptographic attacks. So that's a pretty cool topic. So what kind of got you into cryptography in the first place? How did you kind of go down that path?
Yeah, so my background actually was mostly in mathematics. I had uh, through math program, I was in a PhD program. I'd gotten an internship doing some crypto work, working on some fairly new cryptographic protocols, and that got me interested in learning more about cryptography and how it's attacked. Because while I was writing this implementation, I was thinking, how secure is this? I mean, I know that there are attacks against cryptography, but
Hmm.
I didn't know much about them at the time. So I started doing more reading about it. And I think one thing that really got my interest in the in cryptographic attacks is what was originally known as the Matisano challenges, now
Hmm.
CryptoPals. So that's you'll find some overlap between what I'm covering in the workshop and the challenges from CryptoPals. I believe it's cryptopals.com. You can find um, the challenges, a lot of challenges there. So this workshop would give you a bit of an introduction to what some of those are like. And yeah, just also since I got to Veracode, um, this being a company with a hacker security culture, we were for a while doing weekly CTF time, and um, I worked on among a variety of different types of CTF challenges. There were some that were crypto based, and so this is kind of just where I built up my interest in. Decided, there's a lot of material out there on SQL injection or cross-site scripting, buffer overflows, but there doesn't seem to be a whole lot on cryptographic attacks talks and workshops. So I figured I'd try to add that into the space.
Nice, nice. Yeah, it's always nice to add some new kind of element that people haven't really looked at too deeply before. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, crypto attacks are interesting, and that rabbit hole goes really deep. I think one of the earliest things I read on the actual attack part of it is a book called The Code Book by Simon
Hmm.
Singe,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's a fantastic overview of just soup to nuts on how it's all these different algorithms historically that people have used and how they got broken and how they were attacked. And so I'm definitely interested in that kind of stuff myself a little bit. Um, what kinds of things do you go into in the chat without giving too much away? Because I know it's kind of a little bit CTF based. What's some of the, at a high level? What some of the types of things you go into?
yeah. So I'm trying to make sure I cover um, attacks that are somewhat relevant, ones that have come up again and again. And there'll be a variety. So some of them are block cipher based attacks. So I'll talk a little bit about what block ciphers are and some of these attacks that come up again and again, and some public key crypto attacks that have shown up. And I'll relate those to real world uh, examples of where these vulnerabilities have shown up and how bad they can actually be.
Mm.
So yeah, a little bit of block cipher, a little bit of signature or and encryption, public key crypto attacks. A bit of a mix, but um, I also want to try and keep some relevance so that they're not. There's some out there that are more theoretical, but these ones have. I'm trying to stick with ones that are um, useful and relevant, so that like if you hear this attack's coming up and again in the news, you're like, okay, I know what that
You
is
just know
and
what it is. Yeah,
how that
right.
works.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's great. Yeah, I through years of teaching developers, it's not that uncommon for me to uncover that somebody has kind of either made up their own encryption or re-implemented their own. I'm like, there's a lot of different ways that can break. So I'm
yeah.
actually really excited to give people some hands-on experience with here's some actual flaws and here's how you can find them. So that's pretty cool. Now, how technical do people have to be to participate in this lab?
So. I would say that so uh, I'm planning on having some VM images so that there's a development environment
Mhm.
ready to go. Um, I use Python, so I'll actually have some uh, little code skeletons that
Mhm.
people can start from, so they don't have to do all the boring parts to implement these attacks. So ideally, somebody who is comfortable in Python. If somebody can is more comfortable in a different language, but can um, you know switch gears with that code and like translate what I've done into their language of choice, that would work fine. But I definitely feel like you need to have some basic coding experience and comfortable with ideas of making web requests, and you don't have to do too much with socket based networking, but there are some like so I've got most of that, that coding in there already, but
All right.
you need like some some proficiency with programming, as well as I'd say uh, some uh, some concepts like what is an XOR, um,
Mhm.
and some basic math. Like ideally, if you are familiar with modular arithmetic, that would help certain things in the public
Got
key
it.
crypto space.
So basic programming, basic math functions, and the networking and stuff. It sounds like you've got taken care of in code snippets.
Yeah,
All right, that's
mostly.
pretty straightforward. Cool. So now is this kind of like a guided tour, or is it more of a they got to figure things out? It's more of a puzzle, or is it a little bit of
Uh,
both?
So I intend to have it sort of go back and forth between like sort of a talk lecture portion, and then I would like people to actually try and take what I just explained and try to implement that attack themselves. So, I'll give a little bit of background, talk about a particular vulnerability and how it's attacked, and then I'd like people to, I'll have an example vulnerability, and then go around and while people are working on it, be available to ask questions. And so I figure with the amount of time you've given me, um, I think I'll probably have time to go through maybe two or three different types, and ideally like have 20 minutes or so for people
Mhm.
to try each challenge. But I have more than just two or three on there, but they should all be unloaded on the VM if people want to, as well as additional slides. If people are interested in continuing on, they can keep looking after the workshop is over.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, it sounds like a lot of fun. I'm not sure I'll have time to sit through it myself, but I'd love to if I can get the time. Will the VM be available for people to take with them afterwards?
Yeah, that's one little piece of logistics I have to work out, but I was planning on probably just getting a bunch of USB drives. I'm sure Veracode could probably spare some, and
Right, right.
just loading them on there. And
Hand out the
um,
VSPs.
yeah, so uh, yeah, it should just be. I'll also probably yeah, I can also the code snippets are actually already on GitHub, so I can post a link to that if somebody wants to just
Okay,
pull it down the repo there.
so it is stuff that people will be able to continue practicing after the fact, potentially.
Yeah, and all the challenges actually I have hosted on my own DigitalOcean droplet. So
Okay.
if people don't have the VM should come loaded with the challenges on them. But if they don't have the VM, they could clone my GitHub repo with the code skeleton and go to the challenges on my DigitalOcean droplet and play there. So
Sure. All right, cool. So what do they actually need on their computers in order to run this? Just VMware?
yeah, VMware or VirtualBox I think should both be workable.
Okay, cool. So basically they just need to show up with some way to run a virtual machine, and from there everything is kind of provided for them in the labs, and so it'll be a 90-minute lab, and they'll have plenty of time to really dig in on this stuff. So for the more technical people in the audience, this will definitely be a fun thing to do while they're at the source. So
Yeah,
awesome. So
perfect.
very cool. So definitely looking forward to having you run this. We actually did an overview of crypto attacks at Source Phoenix recently, so now I'm kind of
Okay.
interested to follow up with that with the workshop. So should probably get that. I'll get the other talk up online. I don't think it's up online yet, but we'll try to get that one up online well beforehand and tweet it out so people have some overview of kinds of attacks. That way they have some basic material going into it as well. But it sounds like exciting. It'll be fun. And so for those that you want to show up at Source and play around with some crypto attacks, Matt's going to be there and running his 90-minute workshop. It's going to be cool.
Yep. It should be fun.
Awesome. Great. I'll see you there on Source Boston from on May 9th and 10th. So
Okay.
talk soon.
Yep. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.